Boomer Sooner baby! It's time for Bombs Away. This is the first installment for the season now that it's finally approached. This is Wednesday evening, a couple days before the opening kickoff between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. I would break the game down, but to be honest with you, we kind of know what's going to happen, right? It's going to be at Owen Field. OU's going to win something like 45-17, maybe 45-24. Depends if we give up a garbage TD at the end of the game, because we got to get some guys in there with some experience. Now that Travis Lewis, not T-Lou, that we, I'm not calling him T-Lou. It's Travis Lewis, depending on when he comes back from his injury. Of course, we all want him to come back by Florida State, but to be honest with you, I hope he's back by Texas, and that's when I'm hoping he's back. So basically, we know that Tulsa lost their stud wide receiver, their main playmaker. But I'll tell you what, GJ is a dang good quarterback, and so I think they're going to move the ball on us. They're going to give us a good test, but in the end, our offense will be way too much for their defense. And it depends, depends on what the running backs do. This game could get into the 60s. Oklahoma State scored 60-something against them last year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us put up a 60 as well. I know the line is 23 points, and I know a lot of you guys on the board think it's a sure bet. I'm not so sure. I think 45-24 is a very possible score. So I never did get the over and under on the game, but I just have a feeling that OU is going to win by 3 touchdowns. It just depends on that field goal there, whether they recover or not. So all you guys who bet on OU, good luck. I hope you win, of course, and all that stuff too. But I think that it'll be a good test. Tulsa's a pretty good team. They got a great quarterback, and I think he'll actually be a pro. He may be holding a clipboard someday, but I think he's going to get a chance in the pros. So with that said, we get that game out of the way. Let's talk about the other business that's been happening lately. Of course, A&M has decided that they're going to leave, and it looks like they're going to go to the Southeastern Conference. And what's funny about that is, it's not so much that A&M leaving and the whole deal is, it's the way the Texas fans are reacting to A&M leaving. It's almost like they're a jilted lover, and they're, A&M is saying, you know what, you're not really good enough for us anymore. We're going to go to the SEC. And suddenly all these Texas fans are coming out of the woodwork going, hey man, we don't want you anymore. We don't want to play you anymore. We think you're, we never wanted to be part of you anymore. And they're like ditching A&M, and I'm just thinking, your arrogance is so terrible. That's how you're responding to a rival. You feel like they've just rejected you, so then you got to reject them. You should be standing tall, Texas, and say, A&M, if you think that's good for you, more power to you. You're going to be second rate there, just like you're second rate in our conference. And not wish him any ill will. Let him be, and try to find a way to salvage that rival game, because that is a rival game, and it's much more of a rival game than Oklahoma State. That's not actually a rival game. Sorry, Cowboys, but that's not really a rivalry. You guys have only been good 10 years out of 100. So I just think it's kind of funny the way Texas is reacting to the whole deal. Of course, the Longhorn Network, we can laugh about that now. It's only going to be available to about 50,000 homes in the Texas area. They can't find any providers that will pick it up. And I just think it's really funny how they made such a big deal out of this thing. And Time Warner and Dish and DirecTV and all of them have said, nah, it's not a good deal for us. And they've said no, and so there's thousands of Texas fans all across the state that aren't going to be able to watch this game because it's, exclusive with the Longhorn Network. And that's kind of funny what's happening. They can't even show it in sports bars because these guys can't even pick it up. So, ESPN may step in and do the right thing and put it on an ESPN channel, which will be interesting that they would have to do that. But otherwise, it's a complete mess. And it couldn't happen to a better bunch down there. They've totally messed up the Big 12, and we all know when it started. It started in 2008 when they were flying the banner around saying 45-35, trying to, appeal to the voters to get Texas ahead of OU in the 3-way tiebreaker. And then after the season, they changed the rule to make it appear that Texas was the champion. And we all know that's what they did, to the point that Texas had an asterisk on their board where they were the champions of 2008 in the Big 12, which was totally Poserville. And then it continued in 2009 where Colt McCoy threw that pass out of bounds, and basically they had lost the game to Nebraska. But then, Delos Dodds and Mack cried enough where they had a mulligan, and they were allowed to kick a field goal. They put a second back on the clock, which pissed Nebraska off, and Nebraska said, you know what, we're not going to stay, and they've gone to the Big Ten. And in some ways, Nebraska, we know they turned and ran. They're a bunch of wussies, but in the end, I think it may be better off for them because they're more suited to the Big Ten anyway, because maybe they can win that conference, because we know they weren't going to win the Big 12 anymore. That wasn't going to happen. It was all OU and sometimes Texas, and that was obviously proven in the last decade. So, you know, Big Ten football has always been slow anyway, so Nebraska's got a shot there. I do look forward to the Nebraska-Wisconsin game October 1st, and I think that my secret dark horse for the national championship game is Nebraska. And it'll be OU-Nebraska. It just depends on a couple of factors in the Big Ten, whether Nebraska can run the table or not. But that's my dark horse right now. I think that it could be OU-Nebraska for it all, and that would be super sweet if that actually happened. So I am rooting for Nebraska to go run through the Big Ten this year undefeated, mainly because they are a former Big 12 school, and I would like to see them win every game just this year, because after this year, they're no longer a former Big 12 school. They're officially really a Big 10 school, and you know, they can win or lose depending on who they're playing and how it helps OU for me after that. So, by saying that, who I really think is going to be in the championship game, obviously I think it's going to be OU. I think we're going undefeated. We'll break down that Florida State game in 2 weeks, without a doubt. But I really feel that OU is going to be undefeated and OU is going to be in the championship game. Who are they going to be playing? I'll get to that in just a minute. Let's break off some of the pretenders. I'm hearing a lot of talk about Oregon. I think Oregon is going to be cooked the first week. I actually think LSU is going to win the game. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that LSU's defense will crack back on Oregon's offense. Oregon has a lot of stuff to replace in the trenches. They're focusing too much on the running back and the speed and stuff, but I'm not hearing enough about the muscle. And as we know, that if you don't have it in the trenches, you're not going to last long. And so LSU, I think, is going to win the game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be, the final score is going to be somewhere around 26 to 21 or 24. It's going to, you know, come down to one of those. Probably Oregon either misses a field goal at the end or an interception or something. But it'll be a close ball game. But I feel like LSU is going to take them. I feel like Georgia's going to do us a favor and knock off Boise State. By the way, have you seen the new uniforms? They're going to be worn by Georgia and Boise State for that game. Now listen, I'm not one to, like, obviously we don't want to see OU do something radical with their uniform, because it's traditional, it's a championship team, championship uniform, we're used to it, and they don't need to change. But what Georgia and Boise State are wearing in that first game is unreal. It's like the Arena Football League has invaded college football. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I'm not saying I don't like it, but I mean, the Boise State helmet is this white helmet with the blue horse outlined on it. Georgia has this wild silver with this big mohawk stripe through the face mask on the helmet. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And maybe the kids, maybe they have to attract the, the skateboarders and try to get them to play football or something, because I'm not sure why they're doing this. So it's going to be wild, but I think Georgia's going to do us a favor. I think they're going to knock off Boise State for us so that we won't have to worry about Boise State either. But if I had to actually pick the team that OU is going to be playing in the national championship, besides my dark horse, Nebraska, I think I think there's a real possibility that it's going to be either the Stanford Cardinal, because Luck is a damn good quarterback. And to be honest with you, him coming back was unbelievable. If they would have kept Harbaugh as their head coach, I would pencil in Stanford in OU, which seems like a strange pick, but when you got a quarterback like that to be the leader of your team, and at any time he put it on his shoulders to win a game, that's tough to beat. And they've been playing good football for the last 2 or 3 years, and with the way that they get Oregon at home, and I have a feeling it could be OU and Stanford, like a repeat of the Sun Bowl a couple years ago. Except this time we're going to have to beat Luck, and so that would probably be my pick right now, is OU versus Stanford. And I would like to see that. The teams I don't want to see Bama. I don't want to see anybody from the Southeastern Conference even have a chance to win the championship this year. Not that if we play Alabama, great, we'll beat Alabama. If we